Hi all, welcome to BIAS Academy, Science and Technology audio notes for prelims and mains, Unit 5, Part 5, Chapter 2. The chapter is Cyclones. The topics which we're going to cover are cyclones and different types of cyclones. And next we'll look at the formation of cyclone, that is cyclogenesis, and then India's vulnerability to cyclones, and NDMA's, that is National Disaster Management Guidelines for Cyclone Management. Next is National Cyclone Risk Management Project. After that, we'll see how the cyclones are named, that is the method of naming cyclones, and then what are the advantages of naming of these cyclones. So let's start with the first topic. Cyclone. What is cyclone? Cyclone is a tropical storm that develops over tropical oceans like Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea. The World Meteorological Organization uses the term tropical cyclone to cover weather system in which the wind speeds exceed 63 km per hour. So, cyclone is a tropical storm that develops over a tropical ocean. What are the tropical oceans? Indian Ocean, Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea. So, the storm which is developed over a tropical ocean, that is cyclone. Okay. The World Meteorological Organization uses the term tropical cyclone to cover weather system in which the wind speed exceeds how many kilometers per hour? 63 kilometers per hour. Okay. Tropical cyclones are products of changes in the ocean atmosphere and powered by the heat from the sea. The term cyclone is derived from the Greek word cyclos, which means coils of a snake. The word cyclone was coined by Henry Peddington because the tropical storms in Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea appear like coils of serpent. Okay. The cyclones are caused by atmospheric disturbances around low pressure areas distinguished by the swift and often disruptive air circulation accompanied by violent storms and bad weather. The air circulates inwards in an anti-clockwise direction. Remember, this is important for your prelims as well. The air circulates inwards in anti-clockwise direction in the northern hemisphere and clockwise direction in the southern hemisphere. The cyclones are given different names in different parts of the world. They are known as typhoons in China Sea and also typhoons in Pacific Ocean. They are known as hurricanes in Western Indian Islands, that is in Caribbean Islands and Atlantic Ocean. They are also called tornadoes in Guinea Islands of West Africa and southern USA, and willy willies in northwestern Australia. Okay, now let's look at the formation of cyclones or cyclogenesis. The sea temperature in excess of 26 degrees Celsius to a depth of 600 meters results in abundant and turbulent transfer of water vapors to a higher atmosphere. How? By evaporation, it results in low pressure area formation. The sudden condensation of these rising vapors into the clouds result in the release of heat. What? The sudden condensation of these rising vapors into the clouds results in the release of heat. This low pressure area attracts winds over the oceans. As the pressure drops, the circulation of winds over the low pressure areas further intensifies, taking the shape of depression and late deep depression. Okay. This system is also called cyclone when the wind speed over the low pressure area are exceeded above 60 km per hour. The tropical cyclones are characterized by destructive winds, torrential rainfall, and storm surges which disrupt the normal life, destroy houses, destroy infrastructure, communication towers, and are responsible for flooding of the coastal areas. The atmospheric disturbances can be classified into following types. There are 7 types. First one is low pressure with wind speed less than 31 km per hour. Second one is depression with a wind speed of 31 to 49 km per hour. Third one is deep depression with a wind speed of between 49 to 61 km per hour. Fourth one is cyclonic storm with a wind speed of, above 61 to 88 km per hour. Fifth atmospheric disturbance is severe cyclonic storm with a wind speed of 88 to 117 km per hour. And then the sixth one is very severe cyclonic storm with a wind speed of 117 to 220 km per hour. And then there is the last one, that is super cyclone with a wind speed of which is more than 221 kilometers per hour. So, based on the speed of the wind, the atmospheric disturbances are classified into 7 types, that is low pressure less than 31 kilometers, depression between 31 to 49 kilometers, deep depression, wind speed is between 49 to 61 kilometers. If the wind speed is above 61 kilometers and below 88, it's called cyclonic storm. Severe cyclonic storm with a wind speed of 88 to 117 kilometers, and very severe cyclonic storm with a wind speed of 117 to 220 kilometers. If the wind speed is more than 221 kilometers, then what it is called? It is called super cyclone. It occurred in Orissa. Okay. So let's look at the frequency and vulnerability of India to cyclones. Indian subcontinent is one of the world's most affected regions of cyclones. The subcontinent coastline is exposed to nearly 10% of the world's tropical cyclones. Of these, majority have their initial genesis over Bay of Bengal and strike the east coast of India. On an average, 5 to 6 tropical cyclones from every year occur over India, at which 2 to 3 become very severe. From the past 5 to 6 years, India is experiencing high intensity cyclones like Phalen, Hudhud, Titli, Gaja, etc. Most of the cyclones occur in Bay of Bengal, then Arabian Sea. This is important for your prelims as well. Most of the cyclones occur in Bay of Bengal, then Arabian Sea, in the ratio of approximately 4:1. The cyclones of severe intensity and frequency in North Indian Ocean are bimodal in character, with their primary peak in November and secondary peak in May. The Government of India has identified that India's vulnerability to cyclones is increasing at a faster pace and found that the climate change is intensifying the frequency and severity of cyclones. Okay, now let's look at the guidelines, that is NDMA guidelines for cyclone management. How to manage a cyclone when it occurs. For that, we have National Disaster Management Authority. Okay, the national guidelines for the management prepared by NDMA for cyclones were released in the year 2008. In its guidelines, NDMA has identified 10 key areas of cyclone management. So let's look at the 10 key areas of cyclone management released by the NDMA. What are these guidelines? Let's look at the first one. Establishing state-of-art cyclone early warning systems. That involves observations, predictions, warnings, and user-friendly advisories. Second guideline for management of cyclone. Commissioning of National Disaster Communication Infrastructure, that is National Disaster Communication Infrastructure or NDCI, to provide dedicated and fail-safe communication to the national, state and district disaster management authorities and officials concerned. So for communication, this is going to be established. Third guideline. Expanding the warning dissemination outreach by introducing last mile connectivity, which will include providing public address systems along with entire coastline using VHF technology. This will be done along with putting in place all other options currently in vogue internationally. So, third guideline is introducing last mile connectivity. Okay, fourth guideline. Implementing the National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project, that is NCRMP. We'll discuss in detail about this. So the fourth guideline is implementing National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project, where in all 13 coastal states and union territories. Fifth guideline. Taking up structural mitigation measures like improving social structure, lifeline infrastructure, construction of multi-purpose cyclone shelters, construction of cattle mounts, ensuring cyclone resistant design in rural and urban housing schemes, building all-weather road links, building all-weather bridges, culverts, and saline embankments. So now let's look at the sixth guideline, that is management of coastal zones, to include mapping and delineation of coastal wetlands, patches and mangroves and shelter belts, and identification of potential zones for expanding bioshield spread based on remote sensing tools. Seventh guideline. Setting up an exclusive ecosystem monitoring network to study the impact of climate change. So, setting up a monitoring network. Eighth guideline. Establishing a comprehensive cyclone disaster management information system, that is CDMIS, Cyclone Disaster Management Information System, which covers all phases of disaster management. Ninth guideline, setting up of National Cyclone Disaster Management Institute in one of the coastal states to address all issues related to cyclone risks. 10th guideline, commissioning of aircraft probing of cyclone, that is APC facility, aircraft probing of cyclone, to fill the critical observational data gaps and significantly reduce the margin of error in predicting cyclone, tracking it and tracking the intensity and landfall. So these are the guidelines issued by NDMA for cyclone management. So let's recap the keywords. First guideline is state of art cyclone warning system. Second guideline is establishing national disaster communication infrastructure. Third guideline is last mile connectivity. Fourth, implementing NCRMP, that is National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project. 5, bringing structural changes. 6, management of coastal zones. 7, monitoring, exclusive ecosystem for monitoring, building a monitoring network. 8, establishing CDMIS, that is Cyclone Disaster Management Information System. 9th, National Cyclone Disaster Management Institute to be established. 10th, starting aircraft probing of cyclone facility. Right. Okay, let's go to the next topic, that is we'll look at the objectives of National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project. A total of 10 cyclone detection radar centers were established all along the coastline that can detect cyclones up to 400 kilometers from the beach. So if the cyclone is at a distance of 400 kilometers from the coast or the beach, then it can be identified through the radar centers. How many are there? 10 are there along the coastal line. The cyclones formed beyond 400 kilometers are identified and monitored by satellites. Okay, if any cyclone is beyond 400 kilometers, then how does the country or India know? They get the data through satellites. A special cyclone warning center with special disaster warning system were set up in many places along the coast of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Odisha. Afforestation activities are regularly carried out to reduce the impact of cyclonic winds in the coastal areas. Multi-purpose cyclone shelters are constructed in the coastal areas. What are we discussing? We are discussing about the objectives of National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project, right? Yeah. Okay. Gujarat coast has been made a cyclone resistant by afforestation activities, mainly using strong plants like Prosopis juliflora. I'll spell it for you. Prosopis. That is Prosopis. Second name is juliflora. That is Juliflora. This plant is capable of withstanding storm winds and doesn't get uprooted easily. So if you code this in your mains, you'll be fetching more marks. Or if you use more examples. What is the name of the plant which withstands the storm winds and does not get easily uprooted? That is Prosopis juliflora. Prosopis juliflora. Where was it used? It was used for afforestation in Gujarat coast, and Gujarat coast became cyclone resistant. Okay. National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project was established under NDMA in September 2006. It has been drawn up with the World Bank assistance to address the cyclone risk in the country. The overall objective of this project is to reduce the vulnerability of coastal community and hydrometeorological hazards. The project has identified 13 cyclone-prone states and UTs with varying levels of vulnerability. These states and UTs have further been classified into two categories based on the frequency of occurrence of the cyclone and size of the population and existing institutional mechanisms for disaster management. All these were taken into consideration and then divided. Okay, let's look at the categories. First category, there are around two categories, that is high vulnerability states and low vulnerability states. Okay, high vulnerability states, this is one category. This category includes Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, West Bengal, Gujarat. Low vulnerability states, this category includes Maharashtra, Karnataka, Kerala, Goa, Puducherry, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. The Government of India has approved phase 2 of NCRMP in July from 2015 to 2020. What is NCRMP? National Cyclone Risk Mitigation Project. So these are certain objectives. Let's look at the 5 objectives. First objective is establishment of early warning centers and communication systems, including improvement of last mile connectivity. Second objective, construction and sustainable maintenance of multi-purpose cyclone shelters. Third objective, improved access and evacuation to these already existing shelters. Fourth objective, construction of roads, bridges, coastal embankments in selected places for protection against storms, floods, storm surges in high risk areas. And then enhancing the capacity and capability of local communities to respond to the disaster. Fifth objective, strengthening disaster risk management capacity at center, state, and local levels in order to enable mainstreaming of the risk mitigation measures into overall development agenda. So these are the 5 objectives of National Cyclone Risk Management Project, that is NCRMP. Okay, so now let's look at why are cyclones named? Why should we name them? There are one cyclone is called Falin, one is called Katrina, one is called Hudhud, one is called Titli. So we'll discuss how they are named, the methods of naming cyclones. Okay, the practicing of naming storms began years ago in order to have quick identification of storm and for faster warning dissemination, as names are presumed to be far easier to remember than the numbers and technical terms. So why we are naming them? For quick identification of the storm and for faster warning dissemination, because it's easy to remember names than alphabetic numbers or some technical terms. Okay, in 19th century, Sir Francis Beaufort, I'll spell his name, Francis Farncs Beaufort, Beaufort. He is a British admiral and he designed a scale to categorize the wind. Later, the tradition of naming cyclones started during World War II by National Hurricane Center of USA. When was the World War II held? What was the time period? You reply in the comments below. It's important you should remember the years of National World War I, World War II, and its correlation to Indian freedom movement as well. Okay, the tradition of naming cyclones started during World War II by National Hurricane Center USA. Earlier, women names were alone used, but today both male and female names were used in naming the hurricanes. Okay, the names are arranged alphabetically. The first tropical storm of the year has a name that begins with A. The list continues to W, but Q and U are omitted. Okay. Naming of the tropical cyclones over North Indian Ocean. The World Meteorological Organization and Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific panel on the tropical cyclone on its 20th session held in 2000 in Muscat. Where is Muscat? In Oman. Agreed in principle to assign names to tropical cyclones in the Indian Ocean region. The process commenced from 2004. The nomenclature, what is it? I'll recap. The World Meteorological Organization and Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific panel. So they name which one? The tropical cyclones in the Indian Ocean region. So remember, it's also important for your prelims. WMO and ESCAP. What is WMO? World Meteorological Organization. And what is ESCAP? Economic and Social Commission for Asia Pacific. Okay, they both together name the tropical cyclones in the Indian Ocean region. Indian Ocean region, that is Bay of Bengal, Arabian Sea, both. Okay, the nomenclature is based on alphabetical arrangement of the 8 countries that are affected by the tropical cyclones. These 8 countries are in Indian Ocean region. The naming of the cyclones starts from the list of the names given by these countries in the alphabetical order of their names, like Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Thailand. Once the first list completes, the names are taken from second list in the same alphabetical order. For example, the recent Bulbul cyclone was named by Pakistan. The Maha cyclone that hit Gujarat was named by Oman. So they follow alphabetical order based on the names given by these 8 countries. What are these 8 countries? Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Thailand. Remember, Thailand is a part of it, Oman is a part of it, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, Myanmar, Maldives, India, Bangladesh. I am repeating one more time. What are the 8 countries that are involved in nomenclature? of the cyclones which occur in North Indian Ocean, or the tropical naming, or the countries which are a part of in the naming of tropical cyclones. What are the 8 countries? Bangladesh, India, Maldives, Myanmar, Oman, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Thailand. Whenever you're hearing the logic to remember this, visualize in your brain. See the map. When I say Oman, see the map. When I say Thailand, you can see the distance between Oman and Thailand. And then underneath it there is Maldives. That's how you remember things. Okay. So let's go to the next topic. Then what are the advantages of naming a cyclone? The naming of cyclone will have various benefits with relation to its management, especially related to warning dissemination, public awareness, and faster response. What are the benefits? Warning dissemination, public awareness, and faster response. The major benefits in naming the cyclone are: the naming would help identify each individual tropical cyclone. Number 2, it helps public to become fully aware of its development. Number 3, local and international media become very much focused on the cyclone in all the phases. Number 4, it doesn't confuse public when there is more than one tropical cyclone in the same area at the same time. Number 5, the name will be well remembered by millions of people as it will be an unforgettable event. Example, we all remember Hudhud, Titli and Gaja. 6, the warnings will reach a wider audience. So dissemination is high. Okay, so we have seen what is a cyclone and the types of cyclones, and then the formation of cyclone. It's also called cyclogenesis. And then next we have seen India's vulnerability to cyclones. After that we have discussed how to manage cyclone management, and then the guidelines given by National Disaster Management Authority. After that we have seen about a National Cyclone Risk Management Project, and why are the cyclones named, and what are the advantages of naming these cyclones. Okay, so with this we'll end our today's lecture. If you have any doubts, inquiries, or need any help, you can mail us to biasacademy@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.